What's up, members of the barrio? It's John coming to you from the West Village of Manhattan, and today I'm going to be answering questions that you guys asked me in the YouTube community tab. So if you're thinking about moving to New York City, or you're even going to be traveling here, or you just want to know more about me, I'm going to be answering tons of really interesting questions. And why don't we get started? And this was my favorite question of about the 75 that I was asked. Raul Torres said, "I'm sure you've answered this question a million times, but why the city? Why not the Bronx, where everything is cheaper? You can still do what you do and live comfortably. Why live in a place where you have to put your game face on every single day? Why pay $2,700 for what is practically a studio? You're such a cool, intelligent dude. I just don't get it, my brother." All right, Raul, that's an excellent question. And I think for many people, it boils down to why move to Manhattan versus other boroughs of New York when you have plenty of options, plenty of cheaper alternatives. My story is that I moved to New York City almost 9 years ago when my twin brother was pursuing a career in acting, and spoiler, he didn't really get any parts. So I stayed in the same apartment literally the entire time in Greenwich Village since we got here, and my rent originally was $2,000 a month for two people, so I was only spending at that time $1,000 a month, and my rent slowly but surely just kept going up and up. And the truth is, while I would love to have a bigger apartment and spend less money in the process by, let's say, living in Queens, Brooklyn, or the Bronx, as you mentioned, for me, I just feel like living in New York City, being in Manhattan, at least my personal experience, it's just I thrive off this energy. I love having so many things in really tight proximity. I am willing to trade many conveniences like a larger, or shall we say even a normal size apartment, just to have that. And also from my perspective as a YouTube creator, I'm also very central to many points of New York City. Avi Christians asks, "We all know New York is an extremely hard place to conquer, especially with it being so expensive. Many people suffer, don't make it. Homelessness and squatting is rampant for many young people trying to make it in New York. Question, since YouTubers don't cover the gritty and bad side of New York, would you be up to showing the hard side of New York City life?" Excellent question, and I would say that it would be very difficult, for example, for me to shadow a homeless person for a day. I think there's a lot of sensitive topics that kind of delve into that. If you didn't see the video, and judging by the amount of views, you probably didn't, because one of my least popular videos of the last few months was where Adriana and I actually went to volunteer at a soup kitchen where any traveler or local to New York could do that. So as far as covering the really gritty of New York City, that's the closest I've come so far. As far as me wanting to kind of cover the really gritty side of New York, I just don't feel like it's something I'd be comfortable with unless I could come up with an angle that wouldn't really ruffle too many people's feathers, if that makes any sense. Beijing One asks, "I'm a New Yorker and take the A train often, and there's so many funny and memorable moments on the train. What's the craziest, most outlandish thing you have seen on the train? Something that would mind-boggle people not from New York City." I don't know if I've ever seen anything really disgusting. I've heard many stories of disgusting things on the train. I think the most memorable thing I've ever seen, I was so lucky because I was heading to Jackson Heights, Queens to cover a video about Mexican food there, and I even had my camera, and if I'm not too lazy, I'll throw the clip in right now. There was a magician on the train who was literally making cards fly in the air, and I was just super stoked that I could actually film that moment. I mean, I've seen my share of people who probably were mentally ill shouting, but honestly, I've never seen anything that disturbing that I think would totally creep out a non-New Yorker. Tyler Miller asks, "What is the craziest moment you've ever encountered in New York City?" All right, my answer is pretty crazy, and I've talked about this on a couple of other videos, although not recently, and I've debated making a special video just about this crazy story. Tell me in the comments if you want me to make this video. I'm still not sure if I will. 6 years ago, I was walking in the Bronx when I was working for a TV station, and I was shot. I was actually shot over my left knee. In the end, it wasn't anything life-threatening or anything too serious as far as the wound was concerned, but still, it's not your average everyday thing to know someone who's been shot before. So if you don't know someone who's been shot, you know me. And the reason that I don't want to make that video per se is not to rehash old memories, but I don't want to paint a negative picture of a specific part of the Bronx or anybody that lives in that area. So I don't know. If you guys want to know more about that story, I'll consider telling it in a video at some point. Ben Harrison says, what is your favorite mode of transportation in the city? That's a very easy answer for me. I'm gonna go with subway, especially when it's above ground and it's traveling, let's say, over one of the bridges, over the Williamsburg Bridge, for example, between Brooklyn and Manhattan. You just get these incredible views. It sort of reminds you that you are, in fact, living on an island in Manhattan. Sometimes you forget that fact. You're just in your own little world. So it's nice to see New York from the beautiful perspectives and views that the subway can provide for you. SSC Madman asks, what team were you a sportscaster for? Also, what is the best bagel store? The second one's good. So if you didn't know, I put this on some parts of my channel. I was a sportscaster for about 9 years on television and radio, and I worked for teams in Vermont, El Paso, Texas, Great Falls, Montana. I also did college basketball in New York City for Wagner. I worked for a TV station called MSG Varsity, which did high school sports in the New York City area for 3 years until I stopped. And the best bagel in New York, in my opinion, is Bagel Hole in Park Slope. We did a whole video looking for the best bagel, and that was our winner. Although my favorite bagel in the world is in my hometown of Fairlawn, New Jersey. So I'm a little bit biased, perhaps. Carlos Ares asks, did you ever come to South America? Do you think about visiting Brazil in the future? I've been to South America. I actually spent one summer in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I've also been to Brazil before. This was way before I was on YouTube. I've been to Uruguay, I've been to Chile, I've been to Peru. So the answer is yes, I've been to South America, never vlogged in South America. I would absolutely love to go to Colombia. Very high on my list right now. Team Autismpedia asks, best ways to stay updated on things going on in New York City. I'm honestly not one of those people that likes to do something new every weekend and has to be going to all the festivals and carnivals and stuff like that. But when I am in the mood for that, there's a couple of resources. One is Time Out New York. They have an app, they have a website, they have a magazine. Another one I discovered recently, let me get the name, it's called What to Do in New York. It's a Facebook group run by this girl. I think her name is Mickey. She does a lot of like live videos. It's really cool. And this girl is always finding the newest things going on in New York. So that's your jam. You should definitely sign up for that Facebook group. Megan Krog asks, I've always wanted to live in New York City. I plan on making my dreams a reality when I graduate nursing school in 3 years. The plan is to live there 1 year, and if I'm in love with it, then longer. Which neighborhood do you suggest? Megan, what I suggest you do is come to New York on your own and spend a couple of months here and maybe try to live in different places, try a few different sublets, or at least spend a lot of time in different neighborhoods. You know, what's my ideal for a neighborhood might not be your ideal. You might want to save money, you might want to have a bigger apartment and not care about location so much, or you might want to be right in the heart of everything and money is no object. So for you, I would say just experience as many neighborhoods as you can, because I really can't give you a straight answer there. How do I determine if a restaurant or cart is good? Uthman Basques. I hope I didn't butcher your name, sorry about that. You know, in many cities, I would tell you to just see if the place is crowded or not, but I think there's a lot of restaurants in New York and food carts even, without giving any specific names, that are just overhyped and I don't think are that good. The best way, outside of having like favorite bloggers or vloggers reviewing spots, Foursquare and Yelp, I've noticed that in New York City. Hey buddy, you get interrupted. Cute poodle.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. He wants to be on the video.
Yeah.
What was I saying? I would say Yelp and Foursquare. People in New York are so critical that if you could find a spot that's been around for a long time and has amazing Yelp reviews and amazing Foursquare reviews, that is a very good place to start. Juliana asks, what is your favorite rooftop in the city? Why? Please talk about the different types of rooftops. My favorite rooftop in the city is the rooftop of my own apartment, which I don't go to often enough because we're just entering the spring and now it's the perfect time to go on a rooftop. So to me, the perfect rooftop is your friend's rooftop at night when nobody's around. Just have a beer, just relaxing above the city. But if you don't have friends here, we're talking about rooftop bars, which I think you are. My all-time favorite rooftop bar, this is gonna sound so cliche, is 235th. Only because they have this amazing happy hour special, which I think is great. And you get the robes, and you get the nice view of the Empire State Building. Very cliche answer, but I really think that 235th, if you just have a chance to go to one rooftop spot, even if it's a bit of a tourist trap, it's still my favorite. Is this not the nicest street in the West Village of this place? I want to live here. All right, next question. Ruta Pickle asks, what made you decide to make NYC tourism videos? P.S. Love the content, been living in Crown Heights for 5 years. Love exploring this city. Thank you very much. My channel actually isn't totally a New York City channel, although it might seem like that to many of you. When I started YouTube 3 years ago, I was a travel channel, 100%. I was still covering New York City, but I was traveling so much. I made a video back in September or August about how I was burned out from traveling the world, and I wanted to cut my travel down immensely just to focus on making New York City content for a while. We've still been mixing in some travel, but I am gonna be getting back to those traveling roots soon. There are gonna be videos coming up outside of New York City. So if you like my style here, I think you're gonna like my style equally as much in other cities, but New York will always be my home, and it will always be the spot where I'll make a lot of videos. Fearless asks, what's your one piece of advice for a growing YouTuber? Love your channel, by the way, keep up the great work. Thank you. One piece of advice for a growing YouTube, what was the question? All right, we got it. My one piece of advice would be to, ooh, I've gotten something in my throat. My one piece of advice would be to take many takes so you don't make mistakes like that. But my real one piece of advice is know what your value is, know what your audience likes you for, and really give that to them. Find out what you're good at. I took many, many years to determine the style of video that I thought really resonated well with my viewers versus trying to emulate other creators. I think you have to do what you do best, as simple and maybe cliche as that sounds. Scoopy says, cool name. Hi John, maybe a dumb question, but what does Here Be Barr mean? I am Robin from Amsterdam and coming to New York Saturday. Your videos have been a great help. Thank you, Scoopy, AKA Robin. Here Be Barr basically means Here Be Barr. My last name is Barr, and I've told this story before, but the reason I named the channel Here Be Barr was based off of the old English phrase, Here Be Dragons, the points on the map where dragons were, the unexplored places. So we're inserting my name into those unexplored places. Hey John, have you ever had any celebrity run-ins in New York City? If so, who, and please tell the story. As far as seeing celebrities just on a daily basis, not that common. I remember a long time ago, I saw Sean Penn walking near Port Authority and 42nd Street. I'm not gonna count seeing celebrities on Broadway. I actually hung out with someone who's pretty much a celebrity, Jack McBrayer. He was on 30 Rock, well-known comedian, comic actor. He was friends of a friend, David Brown, shout out if you're watching this video. And I hung out with him in Los Angeles and in New York when he was visiting one time. So yeah, sort of a celebrity run-in, I guess. Members of the barrio, make sure to check out my other New York City playlists if you're looking for good tips and information about traveling or possibly even moving to New York City. And remember, for the rest of May, if you buy any of my merchandise, 100% of proceeds will be going to the Sean Kimmerling Testicular Cancer Foundation. Better yet, check out my GoFundMe page in the description. We are trying to raise $5,000. Please help me out with that if you get the chance. Guys, hope you enjoyed the Q&A. Thank you so much for watching as always. Until next time.